Okay, so you've heard the term a million times, right? Digital transformation. It's everywhere. But let's be honest, it's also one of those huge kind of confusing buzzwords that gets thrown around. So what does it actually mean? Well, in the next few minutes, we're going to break it all down and make it super simple.
Right off the bat, we've got to get one thing crystal clear. This isn't just about buying some fancy new software or moving everything to the cloud. Nope. It's a much deeper shift. It's about changing how an entire organization thinks, how it operates, and how it creates value for its customers.
And that's the real question, isn't it? It sounds great in a meeting, but what does it look like in practice? In this explainer, we're going to cut right through all that noise and give you a really simple, powerful way to understand what digital transformation is and, maybe more importantly, why so many attempts just completely fail.
Okay, to really grasp this, we're going to use an analogy that makes it all click. It's all about the journey from a caterpillar to a butterfly. Stick with me here.
So first up, you have what's called digitization. This is the absolute most basic step. Think about taking something physical, like a paper document, and scanning it to make a PDF. The information is exactly the same, it's just in a digital format now. That's it, it's a caterpillar.
The next step up is digitization. Now, this is about using digital tools to do the same stuff, just better or faster. So instead of filling out a paper form, you're now using an online form. Yeah, it's way more efficient, but the basic task itself hasn't really changed. It's not a new creature, it's just a faster caterpillar.
And that brings us to the big one, digital transformation. This isn't about making the caterpillar faster. No way. This is about that caterpillar going into a chrysalis and emerging as something completely different. It's about becoming a butterfly.
I mean, think about it. A butterfly doesn't just crawl faster, it flies. It interacts with the world in a totally new way. And a truly transformed business does the same thing. It doesn't just improve old processes, it creates entirely new business models. The classic example? Netflix. They didn't just figure out how to mail DVDs faster, they threw out the whole model and created streaming. That is transformation.
All right, so if becoming a butterfly is the goal, how do you actually do it? How do you build that chrysalis? Let's look at a simple blueprint that really separates the successful transformations from the ones that, well, just never get off the ground.
So a classic way to think about any kind of business change is this thing called the golden triangle, or the people, process, technology framework. You've probably seen it before.
And the idea is pretty simple. For any big change to actually work and be stable, you have to keep these three things in balance. You need the right people with the right skills and culture, you need efficient processes for them to follow, and you need the right technology to support it all. Makes sense, right?
But here's the catch with that model. It doesn't really tell you where to begin. And what happens? So many companies jump straight to the flashy part, technology. That's why a much better, more strategic way to think about it is something called the 5P framework.
Now, what's so great about this model is that it gives you a sequence, a roadmap, and it forces you to start with the single most important question. Why? Why are we even doing this? That's your purpose. And just look, the platform, the technology doesn't even come up until you've figured out the why, the who, and the how. And here's the difference in a nutshell. The 5P framework makes you start with the business problem, the purpose. It makes technology serve the strategy, not the other way around. Honestly, this one little shift in thinking is what can save a project from total failure.
Okay, enough with the theory and frameworks. Let's see how this actually works in the real world with a company that has absolutely nailed this concept.
It all starts with solving a real customer problem, making things convenient. The Starbucks app is brilliant because it lets you order and pay on your phone, so you can just walk in and grab your coffee. It's super easy. That's the hook. But here's where the magic really starts. Every single time you use that app, you're not just buying coffee. You're creating data. Your order gets logged through their rewards program, telling Starbucks exactly what you like, when you buy it, and even where you buy it.
Now that constant river of data gets fed into a really powerful AI engine. It starts to learn your habits, your preferences. It's basically building a unique coffee profile just for you. And this is what closes the loop. That AI engine then sends you personalized offers that are so relevant, it's almost impossible to resist. And that drives you to place another order, which creates more data, which leads to even better, more personalized offers. See? It's a self-reinforcing system. That's a digital flywheel, and it's brilliant. Now, for all this incredible potential, we all know that a ton of these transformation projects fail. So let's talk about the real underlying reason why.
This might be the single most important lesson of all. When these big projects fall apart, it's so easy to blame the software or the tech consultant, but the root cause is almost always human. It's a failure of leadership, a fuzzy vision, or just a company culture that refuses to change.
We all know the stories of Kodak and Blockbuster, right? Or at least we think we do. The popular myth is that they just didn't see the new technology coming. But that is just flat out wrong. The reality is actually way more interesting and a little bit scary.
They failed because they couldn't bring themselves to disrupt their own success. Think about it. Kodak invented the digital camera, but was completely addicted to the massive profit margins from selling film. And Blockbuster? They made a killing on late fees. To embrace digital meant killing their own golden goose, and that was a cultural and strategic jump they just couldn't make.
So, to wrap this all up, if you remember nothing else, remember these 3 things. 1, this is about culture and strategy. It's not an IT project. 2, always, always, always start with why, your purpose, not with the technology. And 3, technology is just the tool. It's the people and the leadership that actually make the change happen.
And that leaves us with one final question for you to think about. As you hear all the buzzwords about transformation in your own company, just ask yourself this. Is the plan to just build a faster caterpillar, or is everyone truly ready to become a butterfly?